Most people think of China as a rising economic powerhouse, cities glittering with luxury malls, tech giants, and endless ambition. But there is one thing missing: spending. The average Chinese saves over 40% of their income. In the US, that number is barely 10%. Why? Because in China, the safest thing you can do is save. Behind this culture of saving lies a silent fear of illness, of old age, of losing everything overnight. The government wants people to spend, but trust has vanished. Wages are stagnating, and the dream of prosperity is fading. From ghost malls to collapsing property empires, China's biggest threat today isn't foreign rivals, it's the anxiety of its own people. In this video, we'll uncover how a nation that once powered global growth is now trapped by its own savings and why that's a ticking time bomb. For decades, survival in China meant one thing: saving. It wasn't just smart, it was essential. Before skyscrapers and smartphones, there were rice fields, ration coupons, and a deep uncertainty about tomorrow. Generations grew up during times when a single bad harvest or factory layoff could push a family into hunger. So people learned to hold on tightly to every yuan, to every opportunity, to every bit of security they could build. That instinct didn't fade with prosperity, it evolved. Even as incomes rose, the fear of running out never disappeared. It became part of China's collective DNA. And layered on top of that was the philosophy of Confucianism, which prized self-discipline, modesty, and family duty. Spending lavishly wasn't just frowned upon, it was seen as reckless, even shameful. A good person wasn't the one who spent, but the one who saved for their children and cared for their elders. Then came the Mao-era, a time when scarcity was not just possible, it was guaranteed. From the Great Leap Forward to the Cultural Revolution, shortages defined life itself. People queued for hours for basic goods, not knowing when the next shipment would come. That psychological imprint, the idea that abundance can vanish overnight, still lingers. So today, when China's economy urges its citizens to spend more, it's fighting against something much deeper than habit. It's battling history, philosophy, and memory, a national reflex built from decades of fear and discipline. A reflex that whispers, even in times of plenty, save because tomorrow is never certain. But fear isn't just a memory of the past, it's also built into the system itself. Even in modern China, people don't save because they want to, they save because they have to. In China, one hospital visit can wipe out a family's entire savings. A university degree can cost years of income, and retirement, that's a luxury very few can count on. Despite its image as a modern economic powerhouse, China still lacks the kind of social safety nets that allow people to spend with confidence. Unlike in the West, where citizens rely on public healthcare, pensions, and unemployment support, Chinese families are largely on their own. The system expects the family unit to be the safety net. Parents save for their children's education, children save for their parents' old age, and everyone saves for the next medical emergency. It's not saving for the future, it's saving against disaster. The cost of living has only made things worse. Housing prices in major cities have skyrocketed, swallowing decades of income. Meanwhile, private education, elder care, and medical expenses have turned into bottomless pits of uncertainty. Every yuan saved feels like a shield, not from luxury, but from ruin. The government has tried to ease this anxiety with the promise of common prosperity, a vision where wealth is shared and no one is left behind. But for most Chinese, that's still a slogan, not a safety net. Their daily reality tells a different story: stagnant wages, shrinking job security, and an aging population that will soon outnumber the young. So even as policymakers beg people to spend, the average citizen is clutching tighter to their wallets, not out of greed, but out of survival instinct. In a country without strong guarantees, saving isn't cautious, it's rational. But even saving comes with a cruel irony. When people try to protect their future, the very thing they trust most can become their biggest trap. And nowhere is that clearer than in China's obsession with housing. For decades, property wasn't just a home in China. It was security, identity, and the ultimate symbol of success. When the economy opened up in the 1980s, the stock market was unstable, banks paid little interest, and there were few safe ways to invest. But one thing always seemed certain: land and apartments never lost value. Families poured their life savings into real estate, believing it was the one thing that couldn't fail. For many, owning a home wasn't even about living in it, it was about safety. Parents bought apartments for their children before they married, thinking it was the best gift they could give. Property became the unspoken social contract: work hard, save more, and you'll have stability. Then that illusion began to crumble. Giants like Evergrande and Country Garden, once the pride of China's real estate boom, started collapsing under massive debt. Projects halted mid-construction, leaving millions of ordinary citizens paying mortgages for apartments that didn't even exist. Home prices that once soared began to sink. What was supposed to be the safest investment turned into a national nightmare. And the younger generation saw all of it. They watched their parents lose savings and their friends drown in debt. So they decided to step away, rejecting marriage, mortgages, and the grind entirely. The lying flat movement wasn't laziness, it was quiet rebellion, a refusal to play a rigid game. Today, consumer confidence is at one of its lowest points in decades. People don't believe that money will grow, their jobs will last, or their homes will hold value. And when faith disappears, spending disappears with it. Because when the future feels uncertain, even hope starts to feel expensive. The collapse of the housing dream didn't just shake bank accounts, it shook an entire generation's faith in what success even means. And in that void, a new mindset quietly took root. Across China's glittering cities, the younger generation is rewriting the rules of consumption. Their parents worked to own things, a house, a car, a status symbol, but today's youth, they're learning to live with less. This shift even has a name: consumption downgrade. But it's not about poverty, it's about choice. Young Chinese are deliberately rejecting luxury brands and foreign products, opting instead for affordable, minimalist, and local alternatives. In the past, owning an iPhone or Louis Vuitton bag screamed success. Now, it often screams pointless. Why spend when the future feels unstable? Why chase status when the system feels rigid? Instead, they're finding comfort in smaller joys: bubble tea, local cafes, cheap travel, and digital experiences. The focus isn't on showing off wealth, but on preserving peace of mind. Platforms like Xiaohongshu, China's Instagram meets Pinterest, are filled with posts celebrating frugality, quiet living, and emotional simplicity. This isn't just an economic change, it's a cultural rebellion. Many young workers feel emotionally burnt out from relentless work pressure, stagnant wages, and social expectations they can no longer meet. The famous 996 work culture, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, left scars. For many, the only real freedom left is choosing not to participate. So even when they can afford to spend, they often don't. Not because they are broke, but because they are tired. Spending has lost its emotional reward. In a society that once worshipped growth and ambition, China's youth are quietly embracing something radical: contentment with less. And that change in attitude isn't just personal, it's reshaping the entire economy. But cultural shifts don't stay confined to lifestyles, they ripple through the entire economy. And when millions of people decide to spend less at the same time, the consequences go far beyond shopping habits. They start shaking the very foundations of growth itself. For decades, China's astonishing rise was powered by factories, exports, and construction. But as the global economy changed, Beijing began to chase a new engine of growth: domestic consumption. In simple terms, the people were supposed to become the customers. A modern China where citizens spend, businesses thrive, and money circulates freely. But today, that dream is stalling. Instead of spending, people are hoarding, and instead of growth, the economy is slowing. When households save too much, demand collapses. When demand collapses, businesses shrink. When businesses shrink, jobs disappear. And when jobs disappear, people save even more. It's a vicious loop, a self-reinforcing spiral that traps even the strongest economies in stagnation. Small businesses, the backbone of China's urban economy, are the first to feel the pain. Restaurants, retail stores, travel agencies, and entertainment venues that once buzzed with customers now struggle to stay afloat. Owners slash prices to survive, but lowered prices don't always attract buyers when people are afraid to spend. The result? A quiet, creeping deflation, the same ghost that haunted Japan during its lost decades. Deflation sounds harmless. After all, who doesn't like cheaper prices? But when prices keep falling, people delay spending even further, waiting for things to get cheaper still. Businesses cut production, lay off workers, and confidence collapses. It's not just economic, it's psychological. And that's exactly the risk China faces now. The government knows this. Over the past few years, it's tried everything: slashing interest rates, offering shopping vouchers, handing out subsidies for cars and electronics. But people aren't biting. When your job feels uncertain, a coupon won't change your mind. Beijing has also tried to pump confidence through messaging, reminding citizens of resilience, progress, and common prosperity. But slogans can't rebuild trust when people see ghost cities, unfinished apartments, and falling stock prices all around them. The problem isn't just money, it's belief. Belief in the system, in stability, in tomorrow. And that belief is what drives any consumer economy, because spending isn't just an economic act, it's emotional. It's an act of optimism. When you buy a house, a car, or even a coffee, you're expressing faith that tomorrow will be fine. But right now, many Chinese don't feel that faith anymore. So the country stands at a crossroads. One path leads toward reform, stronger welfare systems, more transparency, and rebuilding public confidence. The other path towards slow stagnation, where the fear of spending becomes a national habit that drags the world's second largest economy into a long, quiet freeze. And that's the real danger, because when 1 billion people stop believing in the future, the entire world economy feels the chill. China's story has always been about resilience, a nation that turned famine into factories, poverty into prosperity. But today, its biggest challenge isn't about producing more, it's about believing more. Because without trust, even the richest society feels poor. A culture built on saving gave China strength, but now it may be holding it back. Until ordinary people feel secure enough to spend, the economy will keep walking in circles, powerful but paralyzed. And yet, to truly understand China's struggle, we need to look at the foundation of its power, manufacturing. Because that's where everything began. So for that reason, if you're interested, then you can watch this video showing up on your screen. Thanks for watching, mate, and thanks for hitting the subscribe button. Bye.